Okay, cool. Let's do this. Relax for a second. Let's actually just start in Tai Chi Harmony. Allow your feet to touch. Bring your hands together in the center. People may be watching this as a standalone class because it may get categorized different. Pull the head top up. Relax your shoulders. Sink your tailbone. Relax your brow. Open your vision. Open your nostrils. Half smile is the minimum. Keep the chin tucked. Relax the shoulders. Use the center to support. Relax the tailbone. Grip your feet. And let's actually do a little bit of qigong to start for people that are here. So Thomas, if you want to join us, and Thomas is a great sport because he has been doing all of this stuff without any instruction. Thomas has not had Tai Chi or martial arts instruction before. So we're going to do something right now, an exercise we did in class before, the qigong. So just breathing. So breathing, reach all the way up, and then exhaling. Watch out for the wall on the side over there. And by the way, I got feedback from the last class, just breathing. So reach, stretch all the way up, and then full exhale out. So breathing. And reach out to the sides like you're stretching. Can you, yeah?
Sorry, no.
No worries. Yeah, sorry. Let's continue. Do two more. So reaching, exhale, one more. And then come back to the center. So today, in today's class, what we've been working on is the opening form from grasp the sparrow's tail, ward off, all the way up to hook and single whip. My purpose for these application classes is so that the user at home has some idea when we do roll back, when we do press, push, look left, glance right, double press, horizontal split, hook, single whip, what each of those postures has a martial arts meaning. And so without having somebody to represent, I just have to describe, oh, what if somebody's kicking at my center? What do I do with my structure, etc.? So in the last class, we had talked about press, push, and we had started to talk about Shuang An. And we're going to get to that at the second half of this class today. But at first, we're going to look left and glance right. And it will be beneficial because in the second section classes, we've been looking at diagonal flying, which after we have this shoulder bump, right, which is the hockey check. And look left and glance right are the sort of answer to the hockey check. So if somebody is checking at your center, you want to get your base and be able to turn, and we're going to examine what that is. So with that, let's actually actually have a seat for a second. Let's see where they occur in the form and what they look like, and then we'll practice with a person. So let's say we've done our right ward off. I'm facing forward this way, and then we turn to roll back, and then turn to press forward. We have push, which we had talked about last week. We can examine more of that. And then when we shift back, this shifting back is my center line. If I leave my arms out of the equation, I'm shifting the pole of my spine from the front to the back, and then that's turning left and right, like this. So after my push, I'm changing my palm forward. My other palm is coming behind here, and I'm turning, something like this. And then glance right is literally the same. So if I'll face a slightly different angle, and I've done press, push, and then from here, I'm protecting my center line, and this is coming to the side. And then when I change, it's literally I'm changing one hand here, the other hand here, and I'm turning this way. We're going to see why they have different names based on which side you face. So if I'm just standing minding my own business, I step back to my square, I'm looking left and glancing right. So what is the meaning of how we use it against the shoulder check, right? This one has to do, again, with how the trigrams are set up. And what we like to do is make an exact counter offer to what our opponent gives. So if Thomas is, and this can be a very simple shoulder check, right? So if he steps and then wants to hit his shoulder to my center here, right? So, and you can step in a little bit further. So if I'm here, I'm minding my own business, and it kind of doesn't matter which direction he comes with because we have both left and right. But for this first part of the exercise, if you use your left side, so you turn your left foot and shoulder, bump. So your shape is horizontal this way, and then you're going to make it horizontal this way to shoulder bump into me, right? So that's a basic, very basic shoulder check. And as he steps in, I want to, for the first thing we're doing, remember, avoid, because we don't want to get hit. So I step back, and if he still continues, I have to make contact here. This is my hand, but then this other hand back here is going to allow him the space, right? So in Tai Chi, one of the people say, "Oh, it looks so flowery." There's nothing extra. It's all efficient. So this movement is taking the power that's coming in, and we can sort of catch it a little bit and steer it. How many here have ever played the egg toss game when they were a kid, right? Or know about what it is? You have two people increasing the distance between they're throwing an egg. And so as the egg comes in, you can catch it and recycle that energy and send it all the way back out, right? And create a type of energy loop. This is the same thing happening. As his power comes in, right, I don't have to stand against it, right? That's a very not Tai Chi. We have sports, and in American football, they just crashing their helmets into each other. This is not very Tai Chi, right? If he wants to shoulder bump me this way, and I want to shoulder bump him, that's a Ram truck commercial, right? These two animals smashing their heads into each other. But instead, as his power comes in, I want to match it and help him along his way, right? And if he had ill intention, on his way may be painful to him. But what if, again, Tai Chi, the yin and yang, can be applied? What if it's not? What if it's I'm at a family function, a relative falls down in the same way, they're falling towards me. I can use that to set them back upright. Whereas if he's shoulder checking, he's an angry customer at the store, I can use that to send the power downwards, right? Something like this. So, but the base, relax for just a second. It's awesome. Thank you for your help. So we have the square step back. This hand is protecting our center, right? What if we can't complete the movement? We've miscalculated the timing, and we're going to get pushed into the wall. Is it better to have that sharp collarbone, shoulder blade? Maybe they're wearing something. Or is it better to have our hand as a buffer, right? So we, just like in the first one, we have press, right? Grasp the sparrow's tail. Even if we can't complete it, we have a buffer. We're putting a bumper between us and the opponent. So we avoid, we make contact. And now you see this other hand is the guide, right? This hand is guiding the direction and making sure that, because let's reverse it, right? So if Thomas is standing on this side and he's facing this direction, right? We'll work together. Just do this, right? If we're here, if you step back and bring this hand up and turn, right? So this is the idea. As I shoulder check in, right? Just what I've been doing here. And then bring the other hand to the back. And so, like, imagine a top is spinning, right? I'm going to try the other side. So as I check into this side, that's right, catch here, bring the other hand to the back. If I'm shoulder checking, continue the movement, right? So if I go into the center, as I step in this way, yeah, but see, his inclination is to stop it. But we don't want to stop. We don't want to stop our opponent. We want to actually create a little bit of a buffer and turn, right? The buffer is just enough to gain control of the momentum, right? So here, yeah, turning. So the idea is essentially, this is, relax for a second. This is in the Tai Chi Classics. It says there's a statement or a colon, I guess, that says 4 ounces can control 1,000 pounds, right? And so any of you that have taken a physics class or understand, right, the idea of even something very large, very heavy, moving in a direction, just a slight amount of power can redivert that. And so in Tai Chi, we're looking for that level of finesse, of quality of movement, so that we only need to exert 4 ounces of energy to divert 1,000 pounds. This is, in the earlier class, we talked about efficiency, the minimum amount of effort for the maximum amount of return. So that's look left, right? Let's try the other side. The reason that this is this way, by the way, is if Thomas is here and we have this shape going this way, I want you to see the feet, because if he's shoulder checking with this hand and foot to my center here, right, and I step back, there's a lot of space for him to move through. And so I have to look to the left to make sure that he's either hit the ground, the wall, whatever's there. But now, let's repeat the same thing. From the other side, right, is if he's shoulder checking with this side, exactly, right, that's his right hand, right shoulder and foot, and I'm standing here, he shoulder checks in. When I do this, you see that down there? If his momentum, right, he wants to barrel through me. This is right now, we're doing this sort of like, oh, he's doing this little shoulder check. But if somebody is trying to knock you down and they have power, right, they're not gonna just like bump. We're doing that just to show. So he's going to have momentum, which means, and please don't barrel through me. And by the way, you're practicing this stuff at home. This is for demonstration purposes. Please take care of yourself. So as the power comes in right here, you see what happens. That foot is going to act as a tripwire, and it's for certain that he will fall down, right? So the difference if I'm facing the camera this way, when I step back, I have to look left, because he may continue to run and he may use my power to divert and come back again, right? Like the chess move initiation. But if my foot is out and that spinning top comes into my center and I can turn it, there's a tripwire. I only have to glance to the left, right? I have to make a full look left to make sure that I've succeeded. But because of the trip line, right? And this is, we will come back to this one later when we get to the actual application of shoulder bump in the second section, because this is considered to be pretty dangerous, shoulder bumping into somebody. And so we'll come back to it and examine it more. But so that while we're practicing the form, you have some idea of what's happening, is we step back, we have look left, glance right. Right? The power is coming in. And so in this one, remember we say there's an avoid, make contact, advance. In this one, there's an avoid, make contact, advance. And for this, the avoid, perhaps a small circle, but because they're connected, stylized, we just have a make contact and advance, right? Perhaps because we are guaranteed to trip them up, we don't need to avoid, right? We know we've already judged the power arc, something along those lines. And that can change. The look left and glance right just occurs that way in the form. I can also glance left and look right. It's literally dependent on the position of the feet, right? But if you choose to be kind to your opponent, you can look out for them and leave a space, or if they're coming in and you can just glance as they bounce past, something like that. Questions, thoughts, comments, ideas? By the way, if you do have, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I always had 2 comments. As I was watching you, Brian, I realized that the principle of palm facing palm is going on there, right? But it's in this plane instead of this plane. And I had never realized that was occurring in that movement. The other thing is, I always remember TC would teach us to spin, so to keep that circle moving, which caused the person to even be more unbalanced.
Okay, So this is interesting because for me as a teacher, I was thinking about that, but I realized I didn't convey that idea. So with Thomas, let's continue. What Aaron is talking about is the sort of like an even higher Marshall extension of what if Thomas is checking with his left side here to my center, right? That means there's going to be some rotation. So my body is turning this way. And what Aaron is suggesting is as that power comes in, when I step back, is now adding an amplification of that spin, right? So as I sink back, when I catch this, I can spin it, right? Which is if it's a person on two legs and they're trying to get across the floor and they get spun out, it's very difficult to stand up. You have to be very stabilized, right? And so on the other side, the same thing. If he's checking with this side towards my center, here, as this power is, we said it's coming in, I can add the spin that's going out to the side. Relax for a second, right? Does that illustrate the idea? Yes, and very true. And this is, by the way, this gets into almost like if you Tai Chi is not what we're studying. We're studying Tai Chi Chuan. But you can study the Tai Chi of billiards. And a good billiards player, they know how to hit one ball that spins it a certain way, that hits another ball that spins that a certain way. And so what Aaron is talking about is spin. So because we can just play pool, we can just play Tai Chi with regular hits. But we can also start to turn that power in one direction or another to make it either impossible for the person to stand, or there's actually a way to spin them that guarantees they'll get injured, right? And you can study the pool, all the billiards, all that you like. And if you, by the way, if you apply Tai Chi principles, you have a square step, you keep your spine straight, you apply the palms, the elbows, the head, the neck, the mind, the concentration, eyes, tongue, all of that stuff, you will be a better pool player. You'll be playing Tai Chi billiards. Right now, we're doing Tai Chi boxing, right? Tai Chi Chuan. By the way, Aaron also mentioned something else which I'd like to address, and that is the palms, right? The palms not always facing each other. Like in crane, we see the palms are facing out. And the rules for that are a little bit complex, sometimes like the English language. It's like sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. But the thing to remember is the spherical shape. So as long as they're round, right? In this case, when I'm doing look left and glance right, if you look from the top down, I have this round shape. Structurally, the egg is the most stable shape. That's where all the birds having their offspring. So we want to make this round shape. And the same with my other arm. It's round this way because it's accommodating, it's allowing the space to be, and it can straighten, right? We can change that and revert it. But in this case, think of this one as the palm is facing down with the thumb down this way, and the other is this here, look left, glance right. So cool. Questions, thoughts, comments, ideas? Yeah, and we can talk about what the palm is doing on each one. And so, by the way, now that you see the picture, just like an artist, first we start with the dots, connect the dots, right? And you make a little shape of an animal or something by connecting the dots. And then later, you learn to make those connections without the dots. So in this one, you can add all of this extra movement, right? And it should be based in reality. It should be based in, if this is happening quickly, right? 1, 2, 3, it won't work. It's just going to be like a brush stroke across the page. Look left, glance right. You have some idea. You're bracing your center, you're supporting from behind, and remember the waist is the most powerful, right? So this is, if I have a strong base, I have this motor around which to turn. Allows me to move a lot of, and then especially when you add like a larger gear to that mix, you can turn a lot more weight power. What's next? Look left, glance right, Shuang On. We started talking about Shuang On last week, but let's actually take a break and look at what we were talking about in today's earlier class. So, Thomas, if you could. And this, we'll try to take it easy because this one has the knee kicking thing. So the idea for Gaotan Ma is it almost doesn't matter what Thomas has up, right? If he's punching, hooking, anything he wants to do in the center, he has his guard up in front this way, right? And maybe he's taking some kind of action because remember the first one is avoid and we're covering with the hand. So if he's wants to swat in with a paw or wants to, punch, jab, come over the top, it doesn't really matter because as he comes in, the power is here, right? If this continues, we just change it, right? But for the exercise, right, we're going over just one thing, right? Is if he's punching in this way, right, is I'm going here. I'm making this half circle to cover here. And I can actually stick to that arm for the whole exercise, but we're going to forget it for now, right? So as his power comes in, I cover. The second one is reaching up here past the neck. And I don't want to just grab with the hands. Remember, we don't want to seize the opponent like this, but we want to control them more like using my wrist as a hook and my fingers as like a physical hook, like a constraining thing, so that the whole thing is like a rope around his center. So as here, he's reaching into the center. I want to cover this way, and then reaching back through here, he's probably going to be stepping backwards, right, if somebody was in this position. And then here, oh, I didn't get you, yeah, no, cool. So just relax for 1 second. So the idea is whatever's coming in, right, maybe he has a weapon, right, and we can examine that in a second, even a blade, right, is this hand, when we step back, is covering all of this. Once this is out of the way, right, you notice when he started swinging with the other hand, I had to change and get into more repulse the monkey type situation because it was continuous. Also, something to remember when we practice these exercises is we're working at sort of an agreed upon speed, right? Like when we do the Tai Chi form, I say you can see the fingers each turning to catch and this hook and whip. But in real life, nobody's doing this. If somebody's punching, right, I want to change the speed. So we just agreeing, right? Gaotan Ma, if I'm here and I want 1, 2, 3, right? We can't do that. We become injured and it's dangerous. So for the sort of purpose of examining what's supposed to be happening at speed in the exercise, let's actually try it again. And we'll do this direction, then we'll change, right? So I'm here minding my own business. Thomas coming through the center with some power, and I want to use the half circle to clear, right? I'm going to connect to his center this way, and I'm going to use this foot to come up, right? Let's change directions, maybe because you'll see through the center this way. So as he's punching into the center, I'm going to cover, and then I'm going to step back through here, right? And this is, can you see my fingers on that side, right? I'm looking for the camera, right? It's here. And then there's just one movement. I'm going to turn my arms and my body and come up through the center this way. And it's coming up here. So let's do this actually. If you stand this way, I'm going to try to stand a little bit in line with the camera because the same movement as his power is coming through the center, I avoid, I make contact. The reason that we're making this figure 8 hooking shape is because I want to make sure that I get his center to my center, right? Because if I don't control that, he can actually roll out. Let's try the reverse, right? Let's try it, right? So if I'm here, use your left hand to just, that hand, to just wipe everything this way. And then reach up, cross, through here like this. Now pull down and bring your knee up. That's right. Okay? So here, if you don't have that all the way over, right, I can roll out. Right? There's a way out of it. So we want to bring that, like in the second section, we have bend the bar. And it doesn't even require power. Tai Chi is about using structure to control. So the idea is, and with this case, there's when you face different types of opponents, you have different situations. For me, he has to control because I can escape. For him, it's a different story. We have different build. So as power is coming in, 1, when I reach forward this way, now let's say he's already started to take a step back, right? And maybe he's like scooting his butt back, yeah, to try to get out of this right here. Yeah, so if he starts to bend down to get out of that, this is going to come up this way, right? Let's do the reverse. Let's say that he's doing the technique, and I punch in. He's going to use that hand to wipe, and then he's going to reach up, cross grab that way. My idea is this, is because he's hooking this way, do the same thing, right? So cover, you got it. It's all right, we're just working. Is here. Now when you pull, when he goes to pull down, if he wants to bring that knee up, I have to scoot out behind. And that's, relax for just a second. So that's where, what I was saying earlier, when we're doing the form, we have avoid, make contact. Here, if they start to scoot away, we can add an extension this way. And so these are like knowing things about the Tai Chi form. When I practice at home, I don't put the extension. And I usually don't show the Fa Jing. The Fa Jing is when I have this, right? This other hand coming across, the display of power, the representation of power. The purpose of Tai Chi is to keep it, right? We're not showing. You can, right? We can do Ban Lan Shui and show the punch. You can, but keep it. In your mind is happening. You know you can open, there's 3 people trying to grab. Because you're structurally set up, you know that you can move all of their hands out of the way and focus to one point with all the power you need. But instead of, it's like you have a car, it's very fast, very powerful, right? We want to drive, put the gas all the time, but instead we're keeping this car for a long time. We want to have a classic. And we know it's very fast, right? It has a very fast badge on the back of it, something. So we can just drive it slow. That's Tai Chi. We're practicing, we're going to practice the Tai Chi form 10,000 times. So, why wear out our bodies practicing the Tai Chi form? Take it easy. In your mind, you still have the technique. Hook, pull, kick, right? And when you go to the gym, right? Today we saw Mark was training from the gym. There's a bag. You can't get your arm around a punching bag, but you can hook it pretty good and get a knee up there. And this, like the Muay Thai, right, is this movement is contained in the Tai Chi. So we have avoid, make contact, connect, right, turning. Let's continue. So that was an interlude for today's class. If you have questions, thoughts, comments, you can blurt them out as needed. Look left, glance right, double press. And double push. This one is good to talk about in terms of Tai Chi, and we started talking about it last week. But double push is not specifically a Tai Chi posture, but it's a Tai Chi theory that's very important, that's contained in a posture. And this is sort of what in Bruce Lee, his book called Jeet Kune Do, he coined a term in English called motor setting. And motor setting is this: if I go, hey, here's $100, right? Yep, he's got it. Now I go, here's $100. See what he does with his hand? Here's $100, right? And now I go, here's $100. Change it, right? So we give them the same thing. And this is very important because in Tai Chi, we see in the first section we have brush, knee, press, brush, knee, press, brush, knee, press. And then in the second section, what happens? Straight step punch. We're setting the opponent up. You saw when he felt comfortable, he can keep moving in. So we allow them, okay, feel comfortable, keep coming in, boop. So we motor set our opponents. We allow them to get a motor movement construction in their mind to keep repeating. They're going to keep trying. Okay, cool. Keep coming, change. And that change is where we win. So we allow the opponent sometimes to do the movement. So double push is a motor setup. So let's say I'm playing push hands with Thomas here, right? Or we have a scuffle. I'm trying to get us centered in the frame right here. And we get to a situation, something's happening where our hands are connected, and I can push him, right? I get something where my hands are either on his center or have a connection to his center. So I want to push. So we talked about this last class, we'll talk about it again, is the first thing I want to do is push up, right? So if I push, if I give an upward, even from where my hands are now, I don't have to be under the weight, but from here, if I start to push up, right, you can see he's gonna, I won't push you over, right, is gonna start to fall back. So what he's gonna do is hunker his weight down in the direction opposite my push. So I'll use my fingers to show I'm pushing this way, he's pushing that way, right? And then it's a struggle, right? I don't want to push him, he's stronger than me. So instead, I'm going to push down. And what's that going to do? He's going to start to push up against me. And because his power has a little bit of that upwards force, all I need to do is change my palm to get underneath it to help that up force go in the opposite direction, right? So relax for just a second. So the shape, how many know like the cartoon stock ticker? Right, like there's like a whiteboard with like a red line that goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up, right? It's so ubiquitous that it's an emoji on your phone, right? If you type in, I don't know, stock or stock value or something, you can find an emoji of this. It goes up, down, up, right? There's shuang an. So the concept is, if we wanted to make it connect the dots, right? After I do my press, push, look left, glance right, my teacher would say, gather the power before you push, right? So my look left, glance right, if I'm facing the camera, from here, I'm thinking of that circle. He would say, gather the power, which means get underneath as far, if you have to lift the weight, get underneath the weight as much as you can. And it's going to come up. We're pressing up. And then, this is, so like the stock ticker, it's not up, down, up. It's up at an angle, down at an angle, and then the same thing, up at an angle. And I'm showing that palm change. Thomas, can you feel, relax for a second, when we did that thing and I said all I need to do is change my palm, could you feel the direction change of the energy from this, right? So this is the idea. These palm changes, when you work with another person, after you spend some time pushing somebody, getting pushed by somebody, you'll find the lower you can get under it. And then this up, down, up, like the stock exchange cartoon comic, becomes multi-dimensional, right? We can say left, right, left. And the example we used last week is let's say I want Thomas to go in that direction, right? No, this is relaxed. But he's going to resist because we're doing Tai Chi. So if I start to push him over there with my arm, no, he's going to resist. He's going to say, I don't want to go there. I want to stay here. So I push, no, resist, don't let me push you, right? Yeah, there. So I push this way, and I say, okay, fine, I'll push you this way. He's going to push back, right? Don't let me push this way. So as he's pushing this way, then I'm going to assist him, right? So relax for a second, chill out. So, and thank you, and sorry, I'm not trying to push you around. So the idea is we can push right, left, right, is to get the other person resisting. As soon as there's resistance, we have something to push against. But when there's no resistance, we can't push against anything. So if somebody leans their power on me, if I'm soft, I can let that power roll off me. This goes for anything, even fast, hard impact like a punch, right? The more I can relax with it, or for a push, the same thing. Maybe somebody tries to push on me. What if I relax in the center? The power doesn't go anywhere. I stay rooted to the ground and instead use that power to come out over the top and generate power a different way. So double press can be up, down, up, left, right, left. Once you get into push hands, just like the trick pool shooting, you'll start to then see you can twist the power one way, twist it the other way, and then so it can be spiral up to the right, spiral down to the left, and then spiral up to the right again. It can be lots of different things. But in the beginning, we're just learning. This is double push, right? So we have press, push, look left, glance right, double press. Gather the energy, press up, down, up. You can make all those fancy palm changes. If we did it with paddle hands, you could do it with your fists, right? If you have your hands constrained, even with no hands, right? Up, down, up. Next one, horizontal split. Let's see. Yeah, we got time to do this one, right? Before we continue, questions, thoughts, comments. Go ahead.
Brian, I don't think I'm clear on one thing. In the previous section, when you were talking about wanting to make sure you still had access to Thomas's center, I got a little confused because I thought in general, when you're talking about using that spinning power, you're trying to spin someone around so you can get access to the back and that you're safe because they're not facing your gate. But in this instance, you were talking about almost the opposite, right? Keeping his gate toward you so that you would have access to knee him or incapacitate him. Is that
I mean, so when we do look left and glance right, we're not trying to maintain access to the center. And access to the center isn't necessarily the goal. I would think for a martial aspect, the main thing we want to get is access to the back. So in like a generic martial arts sense, if we have a front and back of the body, the front is considered the tiger gate, right? So like if you think of a cat or a tiger, they have a soft belly, it's vulnerable. There's the different kind of fur that grows there, right, on their front portion. And the back is called the dragon gate. So you have tiger and dragon. Tiger is soft. Dragon, scaly, right? You have a shoulder blade, you have a spiny spine, right? You have these ribs and the hips back here, like dragon has the pointy bits on its back, and then the side is this called the snake gate, right? Has a varying level of, and so our goal is always to protect our tiger gate and get access to the opponent's dragon gate. So if Thomas is here, this is dangerous, right? You can see Thomas is powerful, right? He can hurt me a lot here, but if I'm here, he can still kick and elbow, and there's all different types of things he can do. But our goal, right, if he's attacking from the center, is if I'm doing look left, glance right, is to try to get access to here, get myself in a position that's away from this. This is, we don't want to deal with the front. We want to deal with the back. So,
Charlotte, were you asking about Gautama or glance?
Yes, about Gautama, because Brian, if I'm remembering correctly, you were talking about how once you've deflected the arm, gotten around the neck, that you don't want to let him be able to spin out.
okay, so on this one, so I will use like a shape, and TC would say imagine a cone. In fact, he would say ice cream cone, right? So the idea is after I block, this hand is going to make the top of the ice cream cone, right? The circle at the top of the ice cream cone. I need to hook the top of the opponent's center line structure, neck, and it has to be at least the neck. If we just hook the head, very easy to roll out. So we're hooking their center line. If it's a small opponent, you could hook under the armpit, right? But generally the neck. So half circle, full circle around the top, and then when we go to change, this cone is spiraling down. So imagine you have an ice cream cone that's this big, and you can fill it with ice cream if you like. We have an avoid. We circle the top of the cone, and that spiral continues here, right? So that I can either pat the high horse on the back, kick, something. Does that make more sense? Because that's a different one. In this one, and by the way, when I avoid, make contact in advance, guess what I'm getting access to is the back. Let's go this way, right? So if you watch, if he's reaching forward and I avoid and I hook his head here, right, and I bring this up, knee. If this arm, that I can use it to control, right? TC would say like a lever. I can force his body this way, but I can also let go of that, and I'm not doing it with Thomas because I have to pull him so that he's forward as such, right? So if he's reaching, right, and I cover and I step through here, the idea is I'm going to pull him as such this way and come across to pat the high horse on the back.
Okay.
And we're looking for the heart chakra, not below, right there, because I was exaggerating. Relax for a second. Because I was exaggerating, I hit below his, but that would be pat the high horse from the heart all the way up to the to the hand,
So
depending on what
I
you can
think
get a good
I
shot.
completely got confused or missed the point of something because I thought you were saying you don't want to let him roll out so that his back is to you and he escapes. You want to keep his center facing forward. Did I
You want to keep,
misunderstand
if,
that?
well, the idea is that, that hook, so avoid this sort of hook hand. If I don't control him to my center, he will escape off to the side, right? So it's the same here. Avoid, if I go to try to catch him and he's fast enough and can move to the side, it will move to a different set of chess moves, right? So we
Maybe another
have,
way to say it. Maybe another way to say it, Charlotte, is normally in a lot of the Tai Chi moves, we're twisting the person on this axis, right? Showing, we're twisting them this way, we're twisting them this way. In this one, we're actually twisting them this way. So just like Brian is saying, he's still exposing the gate. It's just in a different way to twist them in a different dimension.
Okay. I think I get that.
yeah, by
Thank
the
you.
way, Gao Tan Ma in the Tai Chi form looks a certain way, but you can find there's different Kung Fu styles that have this, like we said earlier, Muay Thai. Muay Thai is called the art of 6 limbs, but we only have 4 limbs, right? Because in Muay Thai you can use a knee and an elbow. Those, we have arms, legs, elbow, knee. And so this is, that Muay Thai movement is, but again, if you train like that every day, you will feel it. This, when you see Master Su and Wong Zahai, and they're doing Pigwa Chuan, and they're very old, and can still be very flexible, because they're not doing this every day. Maybe for some time when you're young, to get the coordination, but later, we can get all the power, all the same. It's all connected in there. And because you practice so slow, when you like, right, you can do the Muay Thai. You can do it sometimes. So don't blow your engine up before it's time. What were we doing? Oh, horizontal split. Questions, thoughts? Everything is more clear. Yeah. Let's start horizontal split hands, because I think we have, looks like about 15 minutes left. And this one will be challenging, because horizontal split hands is meant to be against a larger opponent, right? In fact, a lot of the Tai Chi postures, a lot of the Tai Chi self-defense is meant to deal with a larger, like tall, bigger opponent. So in this one, Thomas and I are similar height, but we'll still actually relax for a second. We'll still do it. Let's review what the movement is before we work on it. So if I'm here minding my own business, and this one, the power is coming diagonally, right? So like when we talk about grasp the sparrow's tail, the power is coming to my center, and I'm sort of moving it to the side. In horizontal split hands, if my square is here, the power is crossing my square this way. So I'm here minding my business, power is coming. When I step back, almost like horizontal split hand, or look left, glance right, but we're going to turn the palms to protect it first, because power is coming. So first we avoid, then we make contact, and that make contact changes from defensive to offensive, and then we advance. Very simple, right? Let's do it a few more times together. I'll face the other direction. So if I'm here, power is coming from the northeast. I step back to the opposite corner, connect to the power, turn underneath the power, and allow it to continue in that diagonal line, right? And so the meaning for this one is from a martial arts standpoint, the basis for the judo throw, right? So in the form, we just said we can make it something like this. Imagine you have a big pizza plate and you just like to turn your hands on the circle. That's cool. You can do that for exercise. But this one also, if we want to take the opponent and throw them over our shoulder, can be taken to that extreme. So we're talking about martial arts. So here, so let's examine, right? If I'm here minding my business, and what Thomas is going to do is he wants to use his hand because remember, we're dealing with something that's coming from a little higher up this time. Maybe he wants to chop this way or come across with one of these flying hooks, or even just like a regular hook that maybe is like a downward angle, because the idea is he's bigger than me. So I may actually do a couple versions where he squat down. So he's coming in this direction with his power. And I want to first get out of the way because there's lots of power. And then as the power comes in, connect to it, and then here, right, continue turning that circle. So, and the more so if it's rigid. Let's see if we can use, we may do an exercise where we use a stick. We'll come back to that. Let's practice just the empty hand one for a second. Same thing, that's very good by the way. Let's get centered in front of the camera. And the same thing, power is coming this way. I want to avoid and block. And if it's safe, right, the power is always going to go towards my center line. If I can get to this point, then I want to, as I'm turning my spine, I also want to turn my forearm and my waist so that I'm rotating here to turn this way. And then if he continues towards me, right, he would be, his power, his center would be coming towards me, yeah, right? I can then start to use I'm rooted on the ground, and use my hip to, either use my hip or not, just use his power to turn. And especially so if it's just a straight punch cross this way, and I get to here, if I can rotate, I can control his elbow, right? So the same thing like when we started with grasp of sparrow's tail and ward off. I have one hand on top, the other hand underneath. It only takes 2 to 5 pounds of pressure to pop that elbow. And so if I start to do that, his body's going to move naturally, right, as pressure is applied. This is why, relax for a second. A lot of times control movements, the body will go on its own. This is why in American football, face mask, grabbing the other guy's helmet by the face is illegal, because your brain is hardwired not to break its own neck, not to allow its neck to get broken. So when somebody grabs the face and they start to pull, your body will go with it so it doesn't snap. In the reverse, in martial arts, all's fair in love and war. So as the power is coming, pop, the movement is over. Once their elbow is broken, unless they have some type of something to enhance their abilities or perform in some type of drug or other state, once that elbow is snapped, they're not going to fight you anymore. That's over. So, but we can also use it, like we said, to throw for grappling. We're not going to do it in this case because we don't have mats and stuff like that. You can look up judo throws all you like and bring ideas back to the form. But square step, center line is straight. These arms circular, round, turning in the right way. In the Mandarin, the name for this one is橫捩手, right? So this means hung is like horizontal, flat. Lia is splitting, and so is hands. So this is called horizontal splitting hands. We can do it horizontally here, but the idea is, and let's also talk about a non-martial movement. Let's say I'm at the back of a truck. I want to unload something, and the bumper of the truck is here. And so there's all types of items. I like to use the analogy of moving because people have experienced that. Golf clubs, big carpet, some big heavy thing is going to fall off the truck. I don't know if I can support it or not. So I want to avoid it's falling right towards me. Make contact, and if I do it right and get my weight back underneath it, I may even be able to stand it upright again without doing any damage. But if it's a person, right, they have a stick, something, as the power is coming here, instead of just setting it upright, you can add power to the ground. You can add power, send it either to the ground or beyond the ground so that it has a roll, a twist, something like this, right? This is the idea. So, horizontal split hands. Let's do one more. I'll do one more thing. I talked about the elbow split. The same thing. If his power is coming to my center here, right, and he's gonna he's going to step through that power, right? So he's always approaching, right? Is here. We can do something like this, or let's do the most basic, right? We said just like Cloud Hands has one, and then has this one, right? The most basic is pop, is get under the elbow, under the wrist, and create enough pressure, right? So hold this stick, right? Any old way like that. Is if this is, imagine this is his elbow, horizontal split hands, as the power is coming towards my center. You do that to someone's arm and they're going to have to get medical treatment, right? So that's the basic horizontal split hands. But we can also turn it into us if they're using a weapon, a snap, and we can also turn it into a judo flip. Okay, so one last detail about the stepping. Relax for just a second. We have, it looks like 8 minutes left. Yes, go ahead. Do you have a question? No, okay. The stepping is, this one is unique. It has what another student of TC's referred to as a rock step, because we step back to avoid. And so as we avoid, I'm going to change this foot, turn it 90 degrees, and get underneath the object here. So there's this step, turn, center. And we can repeat going the other way. Step, turn, center. So think of your square shape. Right? Here's our square. So I'm stepping, I have my mini square inside this square. Here, I step to the square, turn 90, and I'm here. And then here, step. By the way, on the stepping with the feet changes, we're going to talk about this. I have an idea for class. Like when we do grasp the sparrow's tail, there's a small change. My weight is going through to the heel. That way I still have my root, but I can start to set up for my next thing. So that's what's happening in this one. I'm stepping back. I still have weight on the heel, but I can turn and then bring my foot back. The reason is, think of the power dynamic. Like, imagine now, like a giant wheel is rolling towards you from the 45. You step back to the corner, turn the wheel, help it continue on its way, and get behind it. So it's coming to my front. It's rolling at the angle. I want to step. That's a very basic. You can do tight. You can do horizontal split hands like that in your form. But if you like to do TC's way, more complex, avoid, make contact, turn the wrists, turn the palms, send the power, continue to the next one. It's not flowery. It is. There's purpose for all of it. Questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. Oh yeah, one more thing. Let's talk about cloud hands. This movement, right? So if Thomas is here and he's standing right here and he's facing the wall this way and he wants to punch to my face, right? He's punching sideways like this. The cloud hands is the simple one that we had talked about. There's two, right? The simple one is as the power is coming in, I want to try to meet that power. So like a cloud, like if you understand how fronts work. So as it's coming in, like right now it's static, but very slowly, relax. So if he's punching very slowly, right, towards my face, like he wants to extend punching, as it's coming in, I want to meet it, so that it's a softer connection. And we can do the cloud hands like that, right? So slowly as power comes in, I can turn this way and even move. But the more complex one is the first, as the power is coming, as he's punching here, is this. And you see my palm, I went from here to here. I kind of combined the first two palm, this. Because I can just use the first part of it, right? Just here, if I use power. But because we're going slow, I can now turn, right? And even if I don't see him, right? Let's say I can't see, he's just attacking. I can feel his arm and use his structure to find the center. So as the power comes in, right, is here. Once this is here, and see this palm being this way and my elbow being here, let's say he wants to reach around my arm, right? He wants to try to get me from here. He can't go over the top, and if he tries to go underneath, I can change this way, and then guess what? I still have my palm for pressing. So cloud hands is a single-handed defense and attack at the same time, but it's only for the snake gate. It's only for the side. So as power, he can change. If you face forward this way, right, and you're punching with your other hand to my center, this one will not work as well, right? Because if the power, like if he's just punching straight to my face, if I do this, look at his other hand. Guess what? And now we have to get into rolling hands. But if he's facing the other direction, or there's some other situation where, because I don't, this is what Charlotte was asking earlier about opening to the center, is here, right? Is if he raises a hand towards me, if I do this, he has the next chess move. He has to do this, and now we're getting into rolling hands, right? We're getting into this push hand situation where it's an exchange. But if he makes a move, right? If he comes this way, and I do this, right? I did the same movement both times, but he used a different hand. Here, it's more difficult because I can connect to his elbow, and eventually connect to his shoulder, and eventually connect to his center, right? So the same thing, if he comes in from the same way, right? This is, now I have access to his back. It's better for me. Whereas if he punches with this hand, and sorry, try again, I wasn't ready. So if he punches with this hand, and I open here, I don't have access to his back, and he can punch, kick, headbutt, he can get through the center. So our goal is always, when I'm here and the opponent comes, whichever way he comes in at me, I want to get to his back so that I can control. Relax for a second. I think it's time, by the way. It says 12:58. So we'll do the same thing we did to close. We'll continue to explore in the future. So take some space, do some qigong, but reverse breathing. Bring all the air, all the qi, all the energy, and bring it to the center. By the way, for those of you that watch movies and TV, continue breathing, long breathing. You will start to see all of these movements appear. If you watch the kind of movies, action movies, where they have fight choreography, that's not real martial arts. We can talk about movies that have realistic martial arts from a real world standpoint. But you will start to see some of these movements appear because they are some of the most basic ways. One time, keep breathing, I asked TC, I said, wow, this Gaotian Ma looks almost identical to something I learned in the Shaolin style school. He said, one body. And I don't know if he meant there's only one body of martial arts, or there's only one human body, so of course all the different ways to dodge and protect them look the same. But you're going to start to see them once you realize what they are. After this next one, wherever you're at, bring your feet together, bring your hands together in the center, move your mind to the Dantian, take a long deep breath, have a gratitude practice on the inside for yourself, and that's it. Call, text, write with questions. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody.